This is a story about a long time ago in a Discord server not so far away. But apparently, category theory is a key requirement for general artificial intelligence. We conjecture ahead.
Although this is going to be weird, and it's going to be about a different.
Title of the conference was something like Ground Truth or Turtles All the Way Down. And so it seems as though there's one Ruliad. I don't think it rules them all. And it might be just hyper Rulial Turtles all the way down.
Yes, it's on the back of an infinite number of hyperrural turtles.
Various people are commenting on the outrage of hacking the universe on a MacBook Air.
I totally apologize. I screwed up that intro. I thought too much about it. It was supposed to go something along like, this is a story of a time long ago. In a Dr. Eric Weinstein Discord server not so far away. But apparently a couple of years ago when I was on one of the unofficial portal servers, I had a conversation with the person. And at one point that person was like, it just brought it, we're talking about artificial intelligence and stuff, general artificial intelligence, because that's especially, what, it's supposed to pass the Turing test. You're not supposed to be able to tell, is it a human? Is it a computer? I don't know. It seems to be thinking like us. It seems to be responding like us. Sometimes it can be hard to tell. I've been told I'm the NPC. It's terrifying. It's very deep lore. But what am I talking about here? Essentially, how do we set up our causal relations? How do we respond to different things? What is a chair? Is there any true chair? Is it kind of like an Irish person? I see this as someone that's part Irish. I believe this allows me to get away with it again. Oh, I'm totally going to hell. But why do I say here's the general Google search thing. Why do I say this? I saw breakfast. Fakel's favorite breakfast. You're thinking about different things. Go to our friend the Wikipedia, link in the doobly-doo. Category theory is a general theory of mathematical structures and their relations that was introduced by Samuel Ellenberg and Saunders MacLean in the middle of the 20th century in their foundational work on algebraic topology. It's a mathematical structure. Mathematics of structure is a set endowed with some additional features on the set. Often the additional features are attached or related to the set so as to provide it with some additional meaning or significance. It's kind of like that whole donut and a coffee mug is the same thing. What? We all know you dunked the donut into the coffee mug. America runs on Dunkins. Basically, they both have holes. That's the primary connection there. Because you could deform a donut if it was made of clay. You could turn it into a coffee mug. And if you bake that, then you could technically have a mug. I remember doing some baking of some clay and stuff back in the day. I was making a dragon. Yeah, go figure. But I was making Rudra from like Breath of Fire, and I had the really long horn on the back, and then it fell off. Wait a second. If I used enough hair gel, it's a total coincidence. I'm just saying. But welcome, Whitechapel. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for popping in. I know it's late. I apologize. But what are we doing here? Here's what we're doing. Okay, well, embiggen it. It's embiggened. All right, nowadays, category theory is used in almost all areas of mathematics and in some areas of computer science. In particular, many constructions of new mathematical objects from previous ones that appear similarly in several contexts are conveniently expressed in unified in terms of categories. Examples include quotient spaces. Ooh, it means many things. Direct products. Mathematics. One can often define a direct product of objects already known, giving a new one. Generalize the Cartesian product of the underlying sets, together with a suitably defined structure in the product set. More abstractly, it talks about the product in categories. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Basically, a number of things. Okay. Here's a schematic representation of category theory. Okay. With objects X, Y, and Z. So basically, you get three things there. And morphisms. I'm not saying this is one of the places, but I got the concept by seeing morphisms in eigenvalues. Yeah, that's totally where I got the eigenranges from. I need to continue to upload my content back over there for the sciencey things. And then at one point, it will reemerge into different multiverses I left. That's a different topic. The morphisms F, GG, and .F. The category's 3 identity morphisms. 1X, 1Y, and 1Z. I know. We're so original at naming things. If explicitly represented, would appear as 3 arrows from the letters X, Y, and Z to themselves. So basically, all right. Basically, this is a functor. You get a morphism or something. You go to X to Y, you go to Y to Z, you go to X to Z, and then you get G of F. Oh, no, that's, again, I'm not a trained mathematician. I am a dude on the internet. But, okay, yeah, people can read all this different stuff. But my general conjecture, just based upon what I've heard on the internet, is how do we even think, bro? No, like seriously, because apparently this was something that I remember Professor Wolfram and Jonathan Gorod had gone into at the previous Wolfram Summer School. They're talking about topology and the concept of like an infinity groupoid or like a topos. So I believe it was the work of Grossendiek, which I believe he had done kind of a bunch of lectures, and I was listening to somebody that composed a lot of the notes from like a lost lectures. What was it, 50s, 60s, something like that? Apparently, he was a very brilliant mathematician, but it's like, okay, how do you continually deform from one category, basically one thing, to another? It's like being a stand-up comedian, where you basically just let your mind flow from one thing to another, this, that. Sometimes you're going to be talking on topic, sometimes you're going to be talking off topic. I'm just saying, if we're trying to figure out how to get quote unquote NPCs to act humans, what if there was a human that basically acted NPC? I'm just saying it. I've been called the NPC before on the internet. And a lot of times, the way I think, I'm listening to their descriptions of these things, and I'm like, I think that's kind of how I talk, except sometimes I'll take a few more right angles. It's like, well, we said this particular word came up. It made me think of this previous experience I had here. So then I basically just went with this. Like, somebody would say a word, it's like, well, that kind of sounds like they said pie. It's like, pie. I like pie. I'm hungry. I wonder if I have any ice cream. I ate some delicious chocolate molten cake earlier. I was out with the stepmom and the stepbro, and we totally shared a very delicious. It was really good. It was good. It was ice cream. See, like right there. I was talking about describing different things. We went from pie, and pie is a tasty treat. What could go well with that? Maybe some ice cream. And then that made me think of the things I had earlier there. Now, is that the morphism? Is that one of those arrows that led me there? I don't know. That's kind of how my mind works. Is that category theory? It sounds like mathematic 80. I think that's probably a better characterization. But again, what are you saying? You're just sitting there be like, who is this crazy person on the internet? It's like, oh, it's a dude. He's acknowledging me. Maybe he's entertaining. Maybe there's nothing else better on. I'm probably going to say that's probably that. And that's like, yeah, this dude's kind of a spaz. He seems to be talking about mathy things as wicked ADD. Now, both those things might be true at the same time. So we call like a superposition. Yes, as I'm making like a triangle. So I was going to call this LFG, which many people, if you played World of Warcraft or an online RPG, typically stands for looking for group. I was going to say looking for Geesking. I really cannot find a good actual picture of the Geesking manifold, which is basically the single cover equivalent of the hyperbolic figure 8 knot. See Professor Segment's things? I saw what Echelon coded, but these are the things that really get my noggin a jog. I'm also really tired. I need to take a shower and go to bed. But all I'm saying is, okay, if we want general artificial intelligence, something that could literally make decisions, see different connections and not just saying like what everyone else is saying. I mean, if you're just saying what everyone else is saying on the internet or something, I mean, isn't that what like a lot of the chat bots and stuff do? I mean, power to them. I personally think bots are people too, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, what if you can think for your own? What if you incorporate your own previous experience? What if you take that cachet of knowledge and experiences you had and you're able to continually apply it? Basically, can we explain the things that we do? I've spent far too much time in my own head trying to figure out why these things happen. To be fair, part of me almost kind of wants like the whole multiverse concept to make sense because I'm like, that's kind of what I thought about when I was like 10 years old to just explain my own personal failures. I'm like, well, that could have happened in some different. I'm like, that's not the reason physicists do it. They're just following the math, right? Um, mind is infinity for anything and everything at once. I like that. I was thinking about that the other day. It's like, well, what is consciousness, bro? Is it the will to persist? Is it because I have a bunch of different definitions. Do we just assume that we're conscious? I mean, is that how we're defining it? How you define something is going to depend on what's encompassed, right? It's kind of like drawing a circle or a wiggly line. How much are you going to encompass? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to do it as quickly as possible? Are you trying to just get everything in there? Or are you just trying to draw the biggest circle? Because they'll minimize it as long as everything happens to fall within that. If you can do it with less, is that more efficient? I don't know. But basically, this was sparked by that. And I hear a lot of folks, and I tend to think silence speaks volumes. I'll hear folks say, well, this is only what people want to do. And occasionally people will just be like, I'm like, are they looking to solve for category theory? Because if we solve for category theory, we can essentially actually create general artificial intelligence. Like that. Basically, it'll just be like talking to, I don't know, me. Is that better or worse? I'm going to assume it would be something more entertaining than myself, or at least make more sense. Boo to you too, Cully. But no, we're just talking about category theory and like how we even thinks. Like, how do we make the decisions? So I look at that little diagram. You got these morphisms to these different components. I'm like, all right. So we got stuff. We got things. So we got stuff doing things and things doing stuff. How do we map it on? What pops up in your head? My mind very often kind of appears as some of my actual edited videos. It's a terrifying thing, but that's often what kind of goes on in my head. It's like, oh yes, shout out to Professor Brian Keating. It's like, of course I'm gonna link to the thing where I ask him, do you like turtles? And he's like, who doesn't? I'm like, I think that's a wonderful thing. And if other folks can get a chuckle out of it, why not? The infinity 8 diagram with the thoughts within the. Oh, you talk about the HF8 thing? My mind totally went there. See, I don't know if you were around when I did that video. I think, did I even do that video? Maybe I showed that it. But basically there was a part. Oh, I forget. If you search like Royal Institution and like consciousness, I think. Basically, they go over this thing where basically it literally is a loop. It's like you're sitting there thinking. It's like, okay, you're incorporating new information, but you're continually flowing. And maybe it was just one of those things where I'm like, I mean, isn't this just obvious? You're going to continue to filter in a new uptake of information. Maybe it was just my personal experience, because one of the biggest things I took away from philosopher Sam Harris, shout out to him, is, well, you're going to incorporate new information into your model. Like, if you're pushing really hard something and you're lacking information, well, I mean, if that information, had you had that before, would you have done the same thing? If the answer is no, why would you keep saying the same thing? I mean, you could admit you were wrong, right? I mean, you just didn't have the information. I mean, it's not like it's going to destroy your pride, your following, your internet street cred, only if that's what you based everything on. I hope that's not what people have based everything on. That's why I apologize for stuff all the time. And again, it's like, well, the end of the scripture, it's like, we conjecture ahead. Could totally be wrong. If it happens to be right, I think that's pretty cool. Yes, bone, that's an incredibly important thing. Why?
Do you like turtles?
There are videos of that on this. I should just start posting like a lot of these videos that I've done because I feel like it's once you've been a YouTuber and you haven't stuck in your lane and you've talked around a wide variety of topics that the algorithm doesn't know what to do with you. All I know is at one point or another, it's like, I did a video on that. Why? I guess I don't need to say the same thing a bajillion times. And if it gives me the chuckles, I like to go back and watch and listen to it and stuff. I totally listen to a lot of my own content. Usually that's why I like putting the music and stuff. Totally gets copy claimed, but that's fine. Hey, I'm just happy to have a storage facility where I can put this stuff up and everything. If I happen to be able to make some cash someday for it and or a living, that would be cool. I ain't quitting my day job yet. But yes. Oh, Kale. Oh, you totally hit the core. I think this is why Professor Wolfram has been doing the thing he's been doing for like the past 40 years. This is why I'm memeing him into like a little 40 computational wizard. Kale's saying, how would a person think if they had never been taught speech or language? That's a very good question. How does a dolphin think? Very squeakily, I hear. They call her Flipper, Flipper, faster than lightning. Oh, how much are categories related to language as the group basket for categorization? Well, that was one of the big things with Grossendiek. It's basically you're going to continue. Now, I think the topos is essentially in modern category theoretical terms. They call it an infinity group. Boy, what's an infinity group? It's the category of all categories. You're supposed to be able to fit, at least according to some folks that I've heard. I think it was, I forgot the professor's name. Oh, I apologize. But they had her on and they had Jonathan and stuff. That was probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And they're going over category theory and just how one thing links to another. But you're supposed to be a way you can kind of deform just going from one thing to another. And just in my mind, I'm imagining like this giant kind of like amoeba-like blob. And it's like, okay, you've got maybe this mitochondria here. It's kind of going here. It's made up of other different stuff and things here. You get these different molecules and everything. I'm just relating to things that I've seen pictures of in books and then try to 3D-alize it and everything. I'm like, all right, so what happens if you include everything in that? Well, it's going to adjust. It's going to change over time, right? I mean, just isn't that life? Life is the process of change. If you're not changing, then are you alive? I don't know. These are good questions. Rumor has it we may have found Fizz. I'm not sure if she's hiding out and's been on the lam after starting her villain arc, but all I know is, hey, I hear a lot about heroes, I hear a lot about villains. Anti-heroes are very popular. I totally support Deadpool. If he happens to murk the entire MCU using a carbonadium sword and maybe a continuity gem, I'd be totally okay with that. And again, I also am probably a psychopath. But all I know is, yeah, there's a lot of different stuff going on. There's a lot of different things. How do they work? Well, I think it's where we have philosophers, or at least in this case, a velociraptor. But that's all I got for right now. Peace out, everybody. Be safe. And no matter what happens,
we won't be going hungry if we do this. That's for sure.
Dude, my hat has made over $10 tonight.
I guess I'm gonna have to wear a cowboy hat on here with you next time too.
Howdy.
Thanks go to the alien scientist Jeremy for that clip, which I totally gave him $5 for. So don't even claim me, bro. Thank you all for watching. Peace out. Take care, everyone.
Have you guys checked out the Memes of Destruction's channel? He's an interesting dude. I like him.